sort of problem we saw was that if you're a financing broker, you have all of these relationships with lenders that you're trying to track and maintain, sort of a CRM for your lender relationships. You have all these borrower relationships that you're trying to track and maintain of people who need financing and that you're trying to, market to and be in front of. And then you have the deals that you're working on. And all these things need to work together, and you're doing a lot of copying and pasting from emails. Usually what we see is that most brokers don't keep their CRM or deal trackers up to date because it's a big, big pain to do so. And AI has changed all that.
Hi, Adam Gower here, founder of GowerCrowd.com and host of this podcast YouTube series, AI in Real Estate. Today, we have another Demo Day podcast with Yakov Zar, who is founder and CEO of Lev.com. Now, Yakov has built a platform that facilitates lending, essentially, in the commercial real estate world. The platform is expanding to other uses, as you will see in today's demo. It is a natural step to be moving into other areas of the commercial real estate world. And that is not atypical of what happens when you start to work on incredible functionality. You suddenly realize, oh my goodness, there's a lot of other people and functions that could use our software. But the core of the business is the lender world, and that's what we're going to be looking at. Now, it isn't until the very end of my conversation with Yakov that he reveals how much his company has raised from venture capital, extremely prestigious venture capital companies. So stick around for that. It really does underscore the credibility of the platform, even beyond the exceptional demonstration that he does. You'll get a sense for how impressive the platform is just from that. But it's good to know who stands behind the platform as well. You can learn more about Yakov and Lev.com at GowerCrowd.com. There's a podcast page there. Just click on that link. You'll be able to see the video, hear the audio, and learn more about Yakov and the company right there. And while you're there, if you've not already subscribed to my newsletter, please go ahead. It's totally free. You can always unsubscribe. There's a big button at the top of my website to do just that. All right, all there at GowerCrowd.com. Okay, without further ado, let's move on to Yakov Zar at Lev.com, coming right up. Yakov, nice to meet you. Actually, finally, at last, I'm delighted to be talking to you today about Lev.com. So why don't we start at the very top? Who are you? What is your company, and what does Lev.com do?
Sure. Thank you for having me, Adam. It's great to meet you too. Excited to chat with you and get in front of your audience. My name is Yakov Zar. My background is in software. Previous to starting Lev, I started a company called Dispatch. We were building software for home service businesses like plumbers, electricians, appliance repair companies. In 2018, we sold that company to a group called Vista Equity Partners. They're a PE shop that buys software companies. And I had some experience in commercial, in real estate financing. Effectively, I had a really bad experience getting a mortgage for a home I was trying to buy back in the day. And I wanted to start like a residential mortgage company. And then I helped a nonprofit I'm very close with to finance their building here in New York. And we went through the whole process. It was a $4 million loan, $4.5 million loan. It took 6 months, tremendous back and forth, hundreds of emails. It was very, very painful. And I thought this should all be digital. And I decided to start Lev. And initially, I thought that it was in 2019, I was thinking, how can we make this a digital experience? And I knew very little about commercial real estate. And we decided to start actually as financing brokers ourselves with internal technology. So we started building software for ourselves and trying to handle transactions. And that business grew very, very quickly. But a few years into it, we realized that we are really good as a technology company and technology provider, and we are not good brokers. I am not a broker. That's not, my skill set. My skill set is building great software. So we, had a big shift in the business a couple of years ago, and we build software for commercial real estate professionals.
What kind of software? What are the what does it actually do?
Yeah, great question. I'm gonna give a little bit of sort of, my perspective on software today, which I think you're deep in the world of AI and vibe coding and what that all means for professionals. And I
Mm.
think over the past couple of years, a lot has shifted. What software is capable of has completely, evolved very rapidly. And the things that software can do has completely changed in terms of being able to give it way more general instructions and have it follow those instructions, incredibly capably. And the other is that the sort of effort of building software has changed dramatically. And you can, with a $20 a month Cloud Code subscription, you could be building stuff yourself. So we started, or when we sort of made this shift a few years ago, initially we were a software platform for financing brokers to run their deals, and I'm going to show you how that looks and works today. Um, but the sort of problem we saw was that if you're a financing broker, you have all of these relationships with lenders that you're trying to track and maintain, sort of a CRM for your lender relationships. You have all these borrower relationships that you're trying to track and maintain of people who need financing and that you're trying to, market to and be in front of. And then you have the deals that you're working on. And all these things need to work together. And you're doing a lot of copying and pasting from emails. Usually what we see is that most brokers don't keep their CRM or deal trackers up to date because it's a big pain to do so. And AI has changed all that. You can sort of operate with our software. You can sort of run your day-to-day operation and have the system work for you in the background and handle a lot of the automation for you. And then even in the past few months, a lot of what we've been doing is making the tools that we have available within our interface available via API and MCP and connectors directly into your Claude or ChatGPT or wherever you want it to be, both so that you can take action within it, like tell me what's going on with my pipeline when you're, on Claude on your phone, and so that you could build on top of it. And we see that a lot of people are sort of the early adopters of the new AI technologies. They often want to build much more custom, configured solutions for themselves. And we have incredible documentation, APIs, and a CLI, et cetera, that you can give to your agent and allow them to build your organization's operating system on top of a foundation that is reliable, secure, extremely robust, handles a lot of the complex parts of the workflow that you don't want to have to build yourself.
Yakov, who is your ideal client? Well, who's your
Um,
client or
yeah.
customer
So
avatar?
most of our customers are sort of mid-market brokerages, the anywhere from a couple of people to 30, 40 people. And they may have tried to implement software in the past. Many of them have used Salesforce and spent tens of thousands of dollars configuring Salesforce or HubSpot or whatever the solution might be. And they realize that those solutions don't even address the pain that they have, right? You spend $30,000 configuring Salesforce and no one wants to put everything into Salesforce because it's a pain. So a lot of those groups who are sort of big enough where they need system and process and some level of organization, but are not looking to build something from scratch from the ground up. And recently, we've had a lot of success sort of with larger enterprises as well, who may not buy the full suite of making us their system of record. Like they might still have Salesforce that they want to maintain as their source of truth, but they want a lot of the automation or AI or sort of smarter features that our platform offers them, and they can just plug in the pieces that they want for those solutions.
There's a gap here I don't understand. So I need you to
Sure.
clarify for
Yes,
me.
sir. Yeah.
Brokerages. Are we talking about real estate brokers who represent buyers and sellers, or we're just talking about finance professionals?
Great question. I wasn't clear about that. Yeah. So we started in financing. We've now expanded beyond that. So now we work
Okay.
with investment sales brokers. We work with leasing brokers. We work with insurance teams within lenders that need similar types of automation and servicing departments within larger, lending groups that need automation software support. And they're trying to figure out, where does AI fit into this world of what we have, whether we have existing software or not. And we're able to offer more custom solutions to those groups as well.
So a broker who represents sellers, commercial
Yes,
real
sir.
estate.
Yep.
How do they use it then?
Yeah. So we have for example, we have a pipeline. I'm going to show it all to you in a second, but we have a
Yeah.
pipeline management product that a lot of brokers love. Of just what are my deals? Who am I talking to? We have a OM generator that you could use. So you could upload documents. We help you organize and normalize the data within those documents and generate a beautiful offering memorandum that comes out of it. The CRM component of who are all the buyers and sellers that I know and what are they focused on, right? Like who's focused on multifamily in what region, and being able to keep that system up to date. Our software does a lot of the manual labor of keeping those systems up to date for you and surfacing the information that's important to you at a given time.
Okay, last question before we go to the demo. So you've described actually a fairly sophisticated prospect or client. That is somebody who has spent $30,000 on Salesforce. Oh my goodness me. Which means that they're not just passing everything with Excel, which actually we see a lot. So what is the biggest challenge that you find to converting prospects to your platform?
That's a great
where are the
question.
friction points?
That's a great question. The Excel ones are easy, right? Because it's like, hey, you have no system and we have a solution that's all the flexibility. People end up with Excel because it's extremely flexible, right? And it's just there and you're used to it. So we give you all the flexibility that something like Excel offers you with a ton of additional knowledge and, sort of structure that you could put. When you have a Salesforce implementation that you've spent a lot of money on, the sale is definitely harder. But there's sort of a single point that I always try to touch on with prospects, which is what sort of compliance or engagement are you getting in those systems, right? You've spent all this effort on something like Salesforce. Are people actually using it while they're doing the work, which is what you want? Meaning, like when I have a deal, I put the deal in, et cetera, et cetera. Or are they going in after the fact and trying to get the information in there so they get paid, which is what we usually see happen at a lot of these organizations. So we have a very easy trial process, pilot process that people could get started. We could import all their historical data with a couple of clicks and sort of get them up and running very, very quickly. And that's the biggest factor in getting customers signed up.
Yakov, let's go to Showtime and take a look at your screen. You should have screen sharing, right? So while you're doing that, I will just make the point to anybody listening. Yakov is going to very carefully walk through every screen here, explaining what we're looking at so that those who are listening can understand. And if you're not, check out YouTube. If you find my YouTube channel, you'll see it there, or just go to GowerCrowd.com. The video will be on the show notes page on GowerCrowd.com. Yakov, what are we looking at?
Okay, so I'm going to mostly talk about the financing flow because that's the default demo setup that I have here, but I'll touch on how different types of stakeholders use the different products that we have here. So this is the homepage, this is our web app. Our application is on the web using all the latest technologies. We've gone through security and compliance for massive publicly traded companies, highly regulated companies. And we're happy to walk through whatever the security and compliance requirements that different organizations have. We know that the privacy and security of your data is incredibly important. We take that extremely seriously. We protect it like it's our own. So everyone has their own environment within our application. It operates on the web. We have a mobile app that you could do a lot of activities from also. The full application works great on your mobile phone too. Like I said, you could access it through any MCP or via API. So you could have the same data that you see here. You could access it through ChatGPT and ask it you turn on the Lev connector and you can ask it any question you want. So on our homepage here, you see the Lev agent, which allows you to have full conversations and access to, again, all the data within your environment. And you can ask questions. You could have it do tasks for you. You could attach files. You could access, the different sort of structured data that you have within the Lev system. But I'll continue scrolling down. We have the deals that I'm working on currently, and then just some relevant market information that exists that you could tap into. And I'm going to start off with the deals view, which is sort of the heart of the platform. So this is the active deals that I'm working on in our demo. I only have 3 deals. I'm a lazy financing broker. No, but we have you could view this in a Kanban, which I like, of seeing your pipeline of what's going on. You could view it as a list. You could also view it on a beautiful map that has nice little animations that flies you around the country to see the different deals that you're working on. Um, and you could export this pipeline into Excel. I'll try not to repeat myself too much, but one point that I think is really important is we, I think that in the sort of trend in software today is that you want access to your data and you want access to your, you know, world, your work, anywhere that you are. And our perspective is at whatever you want. You want to export the data, copy it, import, like whatever you want, it's accessible to you. We make it super easy. So pretty much everything you see, you could export into Excel at any point. And like I said, you could access it via API. So this is a deal. This is an example deal that we have. And this is the deal overview. So a lot of teams really love the sort of collaborative aspect of the platform. So if I work on a team, my team can configure if everyone can access all the deals and relationships, or if it's based on your ownership, and you could set those different permissions within your particular organization. This also allows for comments and sort of assigning tasks and follow-ups within the deal. So you might be working on a deal and you want to tag somebody on your team to do a follow-up or look at something on the deal. You could track all those notes. But the deal is sort of the centralized repository where everything about the deal lives, obviously, right? So you have, I'll start in the further tabs, you have the resources. So these are all the attachments and files that you might have associated with a deal. When you upload a file to a deal, our AI will process it for you and will extract all the important facts about that deal and create structured data from it, right? So I'm sure you've experienced, like, you get a rent roll from a client and you want to normalize it and sort of put it into your underwriting model. You might get a rent roll and a T12 and some, other marketing material that they prepared. And you want to start by sort of ingesting it and processing it. So with Lev, you could upload all those files into Lev one by one. You could drag in a folder, and we will do all that processing for you. I'm going to switch to a different tab for 1 second, just because my demo environment is not set up correctly to display this. But there's a new feature we just launched, which is called the deal index. It's in dark mode, I'm going to make it light. Here you go. So this is a deal index. One important thing we see is, like I mentioned earlier, when you get all these different files and documents on a particular deal, sometimes there's conflicts or information is not lining up, and you're like, okay, well, is the NOI 1 million or is the NOI 1,100,000? And you want to make sure you actually confirm what it is so that all of your outputs are accurate, right? Like, you don't want to know that the OM that you're generating is using the right source of truth for that. And we spent a lot of time and effort. And that's also one of the things that the LLMs are bad at out of the box, right? Like, if you upload a bunch of conflicting files in a Claude Cowork project, and you say get NOI, it'll just pull the first thing it finds, and it doesn't realize that there's conflicts there. So we spent a lot of time and effort creating normalizations around that. So when you upload the documents, we take all of that and give you this deal index, which is a breakdown of every sort of fact and figure about the property or the deal that matters. And each one, it's broken down by section, as you see here. Here you could also see that there's multiple properties. It might be a portfolio deal that you're working on. And each line item, right, so the property name, has a source or sources associated with it. So you could click in and see, in these 3 files, this property is referred to as Grand Apartments. And you can see here it was called the Travis, but all the other sources say Westheimer Grand Apartments. And the AI identifies, it picks by default what it believes is most accurate based on the type of source it is, how recently it was updated, etc., and highlights the accurate or the main factor there. But it also applies to the more complex sets of data. So you might have sales comps that you're pulling in, right? So you want to take all those sales comps. You might have a CoStar report or something that you downloaded, and you want to use that information, and you can drop that information in. And again, we'll process it, normalize it into a nice clean table that's accessible for you in any way you want. You could export it into Excel, you could export it into however you want, or use it for your agent to do, whatever activities you want, but based on that accurate source of truth data.
Okay, and you're not pulling the comps in. This is user-generated comps here.
Users submit this information themselves. You can have our agent look for comps for you, and it's very good. It uses public data to be able to pull that information. We're working on some private data partnerships that will allow you to pull from verified data sources
Okay.
the comps that you like.
And again, just to clarify, what we're looking at here is a dashboard for somebody who is looking at financing. So this is a broker that has a client that's got a property on Westheimer who wants scanning through here somewhere. He wants to borrow
Yeah, they're loans.
something or other.
It's
I can't see it.
yes, financing over here. They're looking for $30 million.
Right. So they're looking for, okay. So this is for a loan broker here. That's
Yes,
entirely what we're looking
but
at.
the interface here, this particular deal is configured for financing, but the all of the sort of deal index factors that are here exists across is valuable to any type of transaction that you're working on, meaning you still want a market overview with accurate information about the market that
Sure.
you're pulling from a bunch of data sources, because you might want to use that in an OM. You might want to use it in marketing material. You might just want to have it for your own archive, which is another factor, right? Today, if you were one thing I advocate a lot is a lot of a lot of brokerages or commercial real estate professionals in general have so much data about the market locked within random attachments and files in their world, right? And if you wanted to know what are market comps for rent of, per square foot rent of a industrial warehouse in, whatever, Seattle, you may have a ton of data about that from the source, right? You might have past rent rolls that you've gathered from people who are active on that asset type. And part of what we're doing is helping you create this structured database for your own knowledge, right? So that you can tap into this in the future. So if you're looking for comps on a future deal, maybe you have a bunch of financials or information that's accurate from your own past deals that you can access at any point too.
Okay.
Okay. So what I will do is what we'll do is let's actually just walk through a full financing flow quickly. I'll do a quick version. And let's say I'm working on a deal for our office, 50 West 17th Street in New York. And I'm going to pick an asset type, the office, and I'm looking for perm financing and create the deal.
Okay.
So, and we also have triggers. You could create deals via email. You could forward an email to ai@lev.com. We match it to your account, import the information, MCP, etc. You could upload files for that document. And then we ask you some questions about the property to help you build out the loan request. So let's say I'm again working on financing for acquisition. I need a first mortgage loan. And here we're just answering questions, a few key questions about the type of financing you're looking for so that we can connect you with the right lenders. So I'll put some information in, 01/01, 2027, let's say it's 90% occupied and on a $30 million loan, let's say $1.8 million NOI, create the deal, indicate whether I'm willing to provide recourse or my clients are willing to provide recourse or not. And my loan request is, no, that was let's say $20 million.
Okay.
And then it does some checks on the math that I did, right? So again, this assistant is always there looking out for the actions that you're taking. You could ignore them or you could have it update them to be correct for you.
Okay, so you saw a DSCR of 1.1 with an instruction to fix it. You clicked
Exactly.
fix it. What did that do? Reduce the loan amount?
It reduced the loan amount. Exactly. It reduced the loan amount to fall within the boundaries of what the market
What you can
is
do.
comfortable with. Exactly. Well, this is based on market data. You can decide to go out with a 1.1 DSCR. We're just telling you you're going to struggle to get terms.
Get a loan. Okay.
Yeah. So the next step is creating the pitch material for the deal. So just to save us a little bit of time, I'm going to show you one that was already created. And there's a ton of ways to do this right now. And our approach is if you want to use Claude to make your OMs, great. You could just upload the PDF and we will take the OM that you created in Claude and present it to your customers. If you want, we've built our own OM generator and editor that's built off of the same foundation models. And it's sort of optimized for a few things. One is to pitch whatever it is that you're trying to pitch, right? So we have templates for investment sales memos, financing memos, credit memos if you're a lender, and we've sort of gathered best practices to put really nice templates in place. And you're able to click a button and have it generate the OM for you. You can define templates. So whether it's a branding template that you might have or a sort of document style template that you have, you could define all of that. and we'll spit it out. And I think this looks pretty nice. I think you'd agree. We
Hmm.
take the photos that you uploaded. We tag every photo with like, what is it, right? Like this is a nice aerial view, and then the AI is able to determine, okay, this should be the cover photo for this property. Um, and it varies the photos throughout the document, and it's a really robust output. And this has gotten, a lot of this is just built on top of the foundation models that have gotten so good at creating content like this. And our sort of value add in this is giving really clean deal data, right? That whole index that I showed you earlier with all the facts, if that is good, the output will be amazing, right? Like it's dependent on the input being good to give you amazing output. So I'll just scroll through this quickly so you could get a feel for it. And this is a full-blown editor that exists. If you want to export it to PowerPoint with one click, you could download it as PowerPoint, do whatever you want with it. If you want to export it as PDF, one click, it comes down as PDF. Or you can just edit it right here in line. You're making a couple of quick changes, right? You might want to mess with some stuff. We have sort of rich content blocks, right? So these are like 3 blocks of call outs that you can mess with, highlighting the team. Beautiful template out of the box. Usually what we see is that for sort of mid-market deals, the less than $20 million deals, we can give you an amazing analysis and output within a couple of minutes. You make a couple of quick edits and go out to market. Larger deals, you probably want to spend a little bit more time on the underwriting storytelling that maybe is not there by default. Again, if you give good inputs, it will be. And then, like I mentioned, there's full template editing. So if I wanted to make my accent color here be red, I could click this thing and hit save, and it'll go through in a second and update all the accent colors. Like you can see here, these became red, the lines around. We also have functionality where if you get new underwriting, right? You generate an OM, it's great, you're happy with it. You update the underwriting and the NOI is a little bit different and the rent roll is slightly different. You can click a button and we will update and propagate it throughout the entire memo so that you can have the latest numbers that you take to market. How am I doing on time? I don't know.
Yeah, you're
How to do.
good. No, no.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's really good. I like
I
the
like going
speed
on
you go through.
rants, so you can
Yeah, no,
stop
no,
me at
it's
any
good.
time.
It's perfect.
Usually they're funny. I feel a lot of pressure. I want to make sure I don't mess it up for your audience. The
It's all good.
the another piece is, so once you generate the beautiful OM, you want to actually present like prepare a room that you share with lenders or prospective buyers, and you want to set some permissioning on that as well. And we've built the sort of infrastructure for all that. This just anecdotally, Adam, just because I know your audience, is another thing that's super easy to make to vibe code like a basic version, but once you actually want to make sure it handles analytics and security and privacy and all these things that you don't want to just trust your new engineering experience to do, you get access to this out of the box. So you might decide to use none of our software, right? You might decide to not use anything, but you want to give your agent MCP access to use our deal room. And you can upload files. We call it a vault. We'll generate a vault, define permissions on it, and you could share that link with people externally. And this room is your sort of opportunity to showcase the deal. We have a highlighted file here, and you can have a breakdown of any other files that you want to share with a viewer. And you could define different rooms and different permissions for people that you share with. So you could say, for this bank, I want to share XYZ files. For the other bank, I want to share different files. Or a lender might request documents on a deal, and you could upload those additional documents just to their vault so that just they have access to whatever those files are. We also have a bunch of lenders and closing teams who use this as their closing checklist. So we built a really robust checklist functionality where someone can request files or request items. You can upload them and it can go through the approval flow. So it's like, we're getting ready to close this deal and we need your driver's license and your, whatever, PFS and blah, blah, blah. You can easily create a request for all those documents and send it out to whoever needs to provide that information to you.
So this is from a lender's perspective. So you have lenders using the platform as well?
We do this, but we do have lenders who use the platform, but we have a lot of investment sales closing teams. We have a lot of financing closing teams who also in the brokerage, in the brokerage may have a closing team themselves, and they're coordinating with like a Dropbox folder and a Excel checklist. And, they're sharing all these snapshot in time files that we're able to give a collaborative space for them to do that.
Got it. Hmm.
I'm just going to continue one more step in the finance, or two more steps in the financing process. So in financing in particular, and this applies to investment sales as well, and other stakeholders as well, there's a sort of outreach process of, hey, I have a deal, I created my OM, I created my deal room, I'm ready to send it out to lenders. And then the question comes, who do I send it to? And today we have a product we built called Lender Search, which I'm going to show you right now. We're about to make this be available to other stakeholders too. So you could say, if you're an investment sales broker and you get a new industrial deal in Seattle, and you can say, show me all of my prospective buyers for this industrial deal in Seattle, and we'll help you search using our AI through your relationships with all the tags and notes that you have on each contact. Right now it's for lenders, but when I hit this add lenders button, it's going to, I'm not on the same deal I was on before. Let me go back to that deal we were working on so I could just walk you through. So I hit this outreach tab, add lenders, and now it's running the search across our entire lender database with all the information about the deal that I'm working on and a tremendous amount of information on these lenders. So we have data like past transactions, their branch locations, their loan preferences. We get this data from a few different sources. We buy a lot of data from third-party service data providers. We also have an internal team that's doing sort of hand-to-hand combat with lenders to collect information from them. And we have a ton of agents that are doing this semi-automatic manual processing of information. So for example, we'll pull LinkedIn profiles for every lender contact every 30 days to make sure that they're still at the bank that we think that they're at. We'll pull a news article that mention people or mention specific transactions and use that to enrich the profile of lenders. But you get this output with really rich profiles of lenders and what their programs are. What are they lending on? What have they lent on recently? What are they looking to lend on? And you can add them to your deal one by one. So
when you do that, what does that trigger actually?
Yeah, great question.
To the deal and therefore?
That adds them to a list. That's step one, is just adding them to a list of people you want to reach out to. But then with a click, I hit this launch button and
there we go.
It will generate an email template. Really important fact, Adam, is that all of your communication, like I said, we're a software provider for your operations. We don't want to be we're not trying to be a marketplace or create our own data that we're selling to people. What we're doing is we will help you do the outreach on your own behalf. So when you send these emails, it actually goes through the pipes of your Outlook or Gmail integration. Yeah. The lenders receive an email from you. It's literally in your Outlook sent mail folder. It's there. It looks like you wrote it by hand in Outlook, but you're not doing any of the mail merge or manual activities. So through the email integration, we send the email blast out, and we also are able to track responses. So I'm going to go back to that later stage deal so you could get a feel for it, where these are, usually what happens on financing is you'll create a list, like here's a spreadsheet of, 123 Main Street. Here are the 10, 20 lenders, 30 lenders I want to go to. Maybe an analyst or yourself will go through and start sending these emails. Maybe you use mail merge if you're super fancy. Maybe you're having Claude do it if you're super, super fancy. But all of those responses are coming back, and now you have to stay on top of them. So what usually happens is the poor analyst is in the office for an extra 2 hours a day, trying to gather all these responses and put them into your Excel tracker. But we've automated all of that. So when you get responses to your email, we're able to actually pick up that response, process it with our AI, and do whatever updates an analyst might do, right? So you could imagine you have a guy sitting at his desk waiting for these emails and instantly making whatever updates need to happen. So when, for example, on this, I got an email back from First National Bank, and they provided terms at some point, and we take the fact that they sent terms. If it's in a term sheet, we could parse the term sheet. If it's in the body of the email, we could parse it in from the body of the email, and we create a structured quote from it, right? So it's almost like you're filling out those Salesforce fields automatically, right? Instead of manually having to input all of them.
So the bottom line here is that you could conduct all of your lender relationships inside Lev.
Exactly.
You don't need to go to Outlook, but if you wanted to, you could, and it's all there as well.
Exactly. But in Lev, you get this beautiful quote matrix, right? Five lenders send you terms. Instead of trying to put that into Excel and make it look all pretty and running all the calculations and copying it from the last deal,
Mhm.
you it's all there automatically, structured beautifully. Compared here, we have little highlights for the best terms. So the best term on any line gets a little green highlight. You could toggle all this. You could sort it however you want. You could export it to Excel to share with the client if you want. You could generate a report off of it. You could feed it to your Claude to make a beautiful report. We have some of that internal automatically as well that happens. And you get a beautiful quote matrix with all the terms that lenders have sent you that you could review, compare, show a client, underwrite yourself.
Let me ask you a question. How much of this business is relationship based? I mean, this looks like a platform that somebody could set themselves up as a loan broker. Hey, I don't know
Mhm.
anyone, but I'm going to, lob up a website that says I'm a loan broker and use Lev, and they've got access to all of these banking relationships, or just plug into your database here and start trawling for best deals and engaging with lenders.
Sure. You're not getting deals done if you don't know how to do deals. I think
Mhm.
that's sort of my philosophy. Like it takes more of to get a deal done than just having some guy's email address to send him a deal. But absolutely, we have a ton of groups that sort of start out and grow on our platform over time, and they're able to build those relationships. To answer your original question directly, a lot of it is relationships, but you can build those relationships have to start somewhere, right? So if you have a real financeable transaction that you can take to the market and get on the phone with a lender and build that relationship over time, we're proud to be able to help facilitate that. And that's our goal. If you get on the phone with a lender and you don't know what you're saying, you're not
You're
getting any
gonna,
deals
yeah,
done,
yeah,
right?
no,
No matter how many email
yeah, yeah,
addresses you
yeah.
have, you're not getting a deal
Sure,
done.
sure. Yeah, no, I get that. Very, very powerful. Okay. Um, right. What else do you want to show me? Okay, so we've really looked at the lender, actually, yeah, the loan broker interface very
Mhm.
much here. Is that so? That's really the core of Lev.com, is it? Is
Yeah,
that
the
that's what it was
platform
premised on? That's the it's currently its greatest strength.
for sure, our greatest strength today is if you're a
Okay,
financing broker, we help you run your business out of the box. Like
okay.
we're extremely well built for that. The Over the past few months, we've put a lot of work into making it a lot more flexible of a platform. Like I said, around all the integrations and sort of buildability on it, and I'll show you something in just a second. But
Mhm.
this concept of a deal with attachments, creating an OM, you can create custom pipelines. So you could go in and say, hey, I want to create a new pipeline for investment sales. I did this on my last demo. You can create a new pipeline for investment sales deals, define what statuses you want to have for an investment sales deal, and you have a pipeline management tool that works out of the box. Incredible, well-structured data. You get all the data normalization stuff. You get the file repository and document repository. You get the OM creation. You get the conversation tracking. You get the checklist. Um, we have lenders who use us for incoming deals. So they create a deal when they create a deal in their pipeline when they get something from sort of a relationship that they have. They create the deal, share it internally. You might share notes or do some of their underwriting within the system. And then we recently launched our new docs. So if you go to lev.com/docs, we have our API documentation. And I mean, there's a ton of videos walk through to get you set up as a user of the platform. But in this build tab, you'll see it, you can just feed it to your agent, which is what most people probably end up doing, but you can get a really deep overview of how to build on top of that platform, right? So if let's take the case that you're a leasing broker and you have a pipeline management tool that you're happy with and you want to enable creating nice offering, not a full memo, but you want to create like a little flyer of 2 or 3 pages on deals. You can integrate into our endpoints for generating an OM. You could send over the deal information. We'll generate an OM for you, give you the output. And here you could see some of that data structure. So this is the deal object. And not to get too technical, but I'm just showing these API documentation for you to take a look at or look at later. But you can search the deal index facts. So you could say like, I want to see the NOI of this property via API. We'll feed it to you. You could make queries like show me the NOI across all properties or filter properties by location and show me the NOI of those. So you could do all these sort of more complex querying and yeah, building, not to use that term again, but you could build a lot on top of our platform.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so you can really customize the engine, basically.
Hmm.
That's what you're showing me here.
Exactly.
Okay, is there anything else you want to show me before we start to wrap up?
That's it. That's a good overview. I mean, there's a ton of little, nooks, quirks and features in there that you could dig around on. I'm happy to give anyone in your audience a demo or connect them with
Okay.
our team as well. But yeah, that's a good overview of the platform.
All right, so stop sharing and we'll chat for a couple of minutes.
Sure.
So how are you guys, so are you guys profitable at the moment? How are you guys financed?
We are not profitable yet.
Okay.
I like to think I am a prophet, but not profitable. No,
PH in the middle,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay.
No, we are not profitable, nor am I a prophet. We've raised venture capital. We've raised around $110 million in venture capital.
Oh my
A
goodness.
lot of that was in the sort of high growth times of when we were operating as a brokerage. We've sort of maintained our investors and investment. We're very, very, very well capitalized in what we're doing. And yeah, thank God we have an incredible network of very supportive investors.
And any headline investors?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
our some key investors are NFX, which is Pete Flint, who was the founder of Trulia, is on our board. He's an amazing guy, incredibly intelligent, very insightful. Rich Boyle, who was the CEO of LoopNet for a while and took them public and then sold them to CoStar, is a board member, investor, and advisor through Canaan Partners, which is the fund that he's at.
Oh,
First American
Canyon.
Title,
Yeah, I know
yeah,
Canyon. Okay.
yeah. First American Title is an investor of ours, and close relationship that we have. They're one of the largest title insurance providers. Cross River Bank is an investor. JLL Spark also invested in us through their Spark fund, and then we have Capital One Bank, Citibank, a lot of great names across fintech and commercial real estate.
And how many active customers do you have at the moment? Paying customers, Yakov?
We have about 300 to 350 teams, I think, that are customers of ours.
And you mentioned you mentioned some, but any headline, any that you can share with
Yeah,
us, kind of
yeah.
illustrate who's using the
Time
platform?
Equities is a customer. They're very active in commercial real estate, as you may know. A group, Matthews Real Estate Investment Services, national brokerage, really active middle market. They use us across their entire financing team. And then we have some teams at a lot of the national brands that are customers of ours, and a ton of every customer is special. I love them all, but those are a few names that you might recognize.
I get that. Okay, so let's wrap up with two things. One, first,
Sure.
challenges. What are your biggest challenges at the moment? You're not profitable. The idea to me being one that likes to build things from the ground up and by my what's the term pull myself up by my bootstraps. I'm not sure
Right.
what bootstrapping. The idea
Right.
that you would raise 110 million and not be profitable is anathema. But I guess that's the venture capital world.
Well, that's the
So what
point of
are
raising $110 million. If I
you
was
never have to
profitable,
be
I
profitable.
wouldn't hit. No, no, we'll be there. We'll be there imminently. We're investing heavily in growth. I mean, the growth we've experienced over the past year and change has been absolutely incredible. I think once we started sort of shifting to a lot more AI first, it's been incredible. And even over the past few months, when we've opened up a lot of our platform for people to build on top of, it's been insane. We also see a lot of people coming to us with use cases that are slightly outside of our core. And the platform infrastructure that we've built over the past few years makes it really easy for people to come to us with more custom types of workflows. And they're
Yeah.
like, I need this document reviewed and et cetera, which is like an agentic workflow that's similar to our workflows that we're able to offer to enterprises. So yeah, it's been our
So
growth
what's
has
the
been
biggest
great.
what are your biggest challenges then?
My biggest challenge is staying on top of the technological innovation that's happening by the hour. Like
Yeah.
it's not even a by the week or month. It's like literally by the hour. Every lunch I go to with a client or prospect, I come out and there's 3 new AI models,
Something new.
and
Yeah.
and my job is to stay on top of it. So
Yeah.
it's a lot.
What
I don't
about
go
in
on
terms
Twitter
of
anymore.
growing
It
the
stresses me.
business, though? What is the biggest
Growing the
challenge?
business, I
Yeah.
think that there's a big question around sort of differentiation of what there's the question that keeps me up at night in growing the business is what is software in this world that building software is much easier? Like, how do you sell software when building software is becoming so much easier?
Mm.
And a lot of the time I talk to people and they're like, I built a CRM in a minute, or I could just take something for 9.99 off the shelf and build on that. And the thing that our perspective is you could, but the sort of enterprise readiness of an end-to-end solution that works in every scenario is hard to build and maintain. And whatever you're doing to Vibe Code, we have 20 people who are, dare I say, better Vibe coders than you, better builders than you, and using all the tools that you have 20 years of software engineering experience. The
Yeah,
biggest,
sure.
just to touch on one more point, the biggest challenge I've had over the past year has been getting creating a sort of cultural shift within the organization. And I think every software company has dealt with it, where you're used to building software in one way, but building software now is very, very different. And in order to keep up with that pace,
Interesting.
we needed to rebuild a lot of our engineering sort of best practices. We don't operate on
Okay.
2 week sprints anymore. We operate on like 3 day sprints, where it's insane.
And a lot of fun as well. What about,
It is a lot of fun.
right? I mean, it's just what could be
I
more
like to say
fun?
that my team is the one that's having fun because they do all the fun stuff I do, but they don't
And
have
you
the
just do
stress.
all the
They don't have
stressing.
the stress. Right. Exactly.
You're in the
Exactly.
background stressing in a
Exactly.
darkened
Yes.
room,
Yes.
drumming your
Exactly.
heels somewhere. Okay.
Exactly. Exactly.
What about marketing though? I thought you were going to say the biggest challenge is getting people on board. You got 350 people, 100
Yeah.
million. So it's cost you what? How much is that? It's not like how much does it cost?
350 teams. 350
350
teams.
grand per
No,
person to get to 100 million.
sure. No, no. Our revenue is. I mean, of course, we always want to grow faster. Thank God, it's been insane recently. If you would have
Yeah.
asked me, 6 months or a year ago, I would be like, we're ready for more growth. It's been unbelievable recently, but I want to sustain that. I definitely want to
Mhm.
make sure that we could sustain that over time and be able to serve more enterprises is a big focus of ours.
Last question. Opportunities. What's on the roadmap for the rest of 26?
Yeah, so we are investing very heavily in our Lev agent. So we have, like I showed you on the homepage, there's a little agent there that you can
Mm.
chat with, and I think that we could do a lot of work to really make that be your CRE assistant. I think that if you're using, Claude and ChatGPT, personally, I use Claude on the go all the time, and it has connectors into my Google Drive and Gmail and all these different tools that I use. And
Mhm.
I have a random thought. I ask it. It's almost my to-do list of random things I need to address at some point, and hopefully some of the work is happening in the background before I get back to it. Um, but I think that being able to build that for commercial real estate is incredibly powerful. And the difference between using our agent versus Claude out of the box is the sort of inherent CRE knowledge and access to your world and your relationships and your transactions. And I think we can make that do a lot of. We're working on making that help you find prospects, help you reach out to the prospects, help you handle the inbound from prospects, prepare materials, prepare pitch materials. So we're really investing heavily into that. Some voice things that are going to be really cool. You could call it and
Ah.
have it do things for you. Yeah, that's where we're putting a lot of effort.
Yakov Zar, founder and CEO, Lev.com. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Adam. It was great.
All right, that was Yakov Zar of Lev.com. Yakov, super good to meet you. Thanks so much for joining me today. You have a very interesting platform. Oh my goodness. My mind is whirring on who the heck I can introduce you to. It's like all these people who absolutely positively need to know you exist, who don't already. So I'll definitely put my mind to that. It was a great pleasure to meet you anyway. And thanks so much for guiding us through that demo. Yeah, very interesting platform. And thank you to dear listeners and viewers for joining us today. These demo podcasts or these demonstrations are really interesting, aren't they? I mean, it really gives you a sense of how powerful AI is and the kind of resources that are available to you that you never imagined were possible. Well, actually, they weren't possible, but it's quite delightful to discover that there are these resources out there and Lev.com is no exception. So anyway, thanks for joining me and for joining Yakov today. If you've not connected with me on LinkedIn, go ahead and connect with me on LinkedIn. You can find me easily enough. Adam Gower, or look up Gower Crowd. I should pop up fairly quickly. And I've been writing a lot. I've been thinking a lot about how AI is impacting the world of commercial real estate, writing about it there on LinkedIn. So I'd love to hear any thoughts that you have on that platform. It's a great place to meet, mingle, and learn, really, from each other. So if you got the inclination, connect with me on LinkedIn. Okay, that is all what I have for you for today. Until next time, this is Adam Gower signing off.